keeping in mind that we're celebrating March 8th, International Women's Day, in a few days, and the theme of this conversation really is defining and redefining success. I'd like to kind of shoot this first question to Sopanha and really kind of ask you, like, how do you define success?
So the term success has been quite a journey for me. I think back at university, success was very much, how can I get the highest grade? Like, when you get an A, you're like, yeah, I'm so successful, this is it, like. And then, when I get a B, I would feel sad. I would be like, oh, this is my entire identity, like I don't want to be a failure, as if a B would ever make you a failure. But then as I grow older and wiser, I think the term success has changed greatly. So I moved to New Zealand when I was 14. So I very much kind of feel like I don't have a place of belonging. So success for me became really about that, where can I belong? Where is my community? In terms of, I guess when I was doing my bachelor degree, it was that, right? Like it was like, hey, let's do this. Let's work hard, get the highest grade. Like this is success. This is what other people define success. And you know what? Eventually, I didn't even get the grade that I wanted, and I went on a downfall. I was like, this is, I'm a failure. I'm never going to achieve anything. But then I went on to do my master's degree, where I kind of focused more on what I like. So my thesis became about like, how can art heal the community? And this stemmed from kind of like looking into Cambodian architecture identity, and I found that, hey, like his story like has really kind of is like parallel to like how I see my identity, like my diasporic identity being like, I don't really belong anywhere. And if you look at Cambodian architectural history, it's very much like, hey, let's destroy this and then rebuild, right? And it's sad because the past is there for a reason and we should learn from it. And that kind of became like my focal point of my thesis, and I began to really connect with the art community in Cambodia and with people here, the local here, and then I'm like, yes, this is where I belong, and it feels great, and yeah, and eventually I did get my first class honors in my master's, but it didn't feel as successful, as satisfactory as being able to connect with people, I would say. And so coming back here a year ago, I realized like a lot of people are in my position where they seek for connection, they seek for a healthy form of expression. So I noticed that people here, we drink our problems away, and it's not so much about like, hey, how can we talk to each other? Where is a healthy platform of expressing ourselves? So that's how I kind of formed Likat. Likat is a zine group. So in case you don't know what a zine is, it's a self-published magazine that basically, it's your own doing. So you're able to express yourself freely. You're able to just connect with other people who have the same mind, and just being really accepted with yourself, and kind of there's no standard, it's not a conformist to like mainstream media. Like it's very, like you want to be who you want to be and be accepted in that way and be supported in that way. So we just launched, so I can't tell you how successful it is, but I do think that there is a need for this kind of success as well within society. So I guess as someone who's in the corporate world, Kaliane, I would like to ask you, like, how do you find success? Do you see yourself as successful, and how hard was it for you to, be in the position that you're in?
Okay, so thank you for this very challenging question. Well, I'm not a CEO or a successful entrepreneur yet, but okay, to me, success is finding the right balance to be happy with yourself first, because it starts with you, right? So the balance between your work, what you love to do, being able to learn constantly, evolve in your life, But beyond all of this, have an impact on your own community. So that's how I kind of see it. For me, after 3 years as International Marketing Manager in Paris and now as Chief Marketing Officer in Soma Group, I'm at a stage where I feel like I can thrive and still learn so much in what I do, from work to personal projects. So I would say that at my own level, I'm happy with my current success. Especially because I know through this, I can help, advise, encourage, inspire people within my work or through my personal projects. And I also hope that our hard work path the way for people who might think that success is too hard to attain. And thank you for asking the question, because a few people think that I got all of that so easily. Well, actually, growing up as an Asian young woman without like a really official academic mentor was very hard for me because I didn't really know what to do, right? But I was very grateful for my mom to always push me and make me realize certain things. She always tell me she's not lucky enough to study, so she wants me to go as far as possible to be independent, and it's very important. And also, losing my dad at a very young age made me realize that I have to work hard for it. I mean, even harder to pave my path, right? But I guess everyone encounter difficulties their own ways, and that's what makes us bloom. I mean, that's my way of seeing it and my philosophy to keep moving forward. For example, okay, talking about how hard it was, I felt so many interviews, like so many, you have no ideas, even though I worked so hard for each one of them. So the work interviews were quite harsh for me. It played a lot on my mental, but yeah, this is part of the learning process. We have to see it this way. I enjoyed going through all the challenges, and for my first internship, it was unpaid. People kind of laugh about it, but yeah, I wanted my first professional experience, you know. And during my first job, I found myself managing older people from different backgrounds, from, I mean, Middle East, Western Europe, and they even took me for an intern sometimes because I was too kind or too young. But yeah, the road can be darker sometimes with bumps, but you can even get hurt along the road. But I guess this is how it is, but it's not a bad thing because we all learn from it. And without all of this, I wouldn't be able to be where I am right now today, right? So I think that as the younger generation, we're lucky that some people paved the way for us. Our society is moving forward, so it's important that we are knowledgeable, open-minded, that we are ambitious, it's important, and that we believe in ourselves and believe that success is attainable, it's doable. I mean, in my everyday life, I work in mainly man fields like infrastructure, agriculture. I get challenges and tested all the time, but it's doable. I mean, we're here, right? So yeah, I would just say that no matter which stage you are at right now, just believe in yourself and be happy with your current success by working for it and realizing your own effort. So yeah, I guess that's my answer. But I'm very curious to know about you, Adana. So how was it for you as an artist and an activist to achieve success?
Well, first of all, thank you for the story you shared. It's inspiring. And for my part, I guess I was no longer striving for success when I was facing cancer 4 years ago. I guess when you're confronted to something that changes everything you know, you re-question your entire life. So before I was so curious and wanting to be successful. I wanted to prove to my parents that I will be a successful young woman. And that's why I did law school. It was not because I wanted to do law school. It's just I thought, okay, law is actually really accepted into our community. I will be a lawyer. But facing cancer and being on your deathbed, you re-question all of that, and you have a lot of time. time to face with your fears, time to ask you the purpose of life, but the true purpose. Why am I here? What's the meaning of all of this? And so from wanting to strive for success, wanting to have recognition from my parents, I asked myself, what is happiness? What's the notion of time? What is death? And all of that made me sit on the moon, look at the planet, and say, okay, you know, maybe don't put too much pressure on yourself. What is the most important is now. And so what I understood from cancer is that everything you achieve, everything you have, everything you gain, well, is impermanent, because at some point you'll not be here anymore. But for me, it was really challenging to face with that. But if we have to redefine what is success, well, success, I guess the definition would be achieving something, accomplishing a purpose, arriving in a goal. So it depends on people, it depends on the culture, on the country where you're from, on your experience. So it's such a large definition. And I see that the definition of success is evolving, it's changing so much. Before it was so much about like social rank, it's about gaining a place in society, being respected, power. And now it's, yeah. And so like now I feel like we are more into, okay, success is linked to the well-being of a person. Are you happy? Like people tend to ask themselves that question now. But I still feel there's a social pressure. I still feel like when I hear successful person, I see like TV shows, TV series where like there's the businessman, there's like the actor, the famous person. And so I feel like there is still a social pressure on that. So I'm so glad that we're redefining this and that we're talking about it. And I think if we go into more a philosophical perspective, because cancer for me was really a spiritual and philosophical journey, we always struggle in becoming. We always try to achieve, to attain something, but we don't take the time to just be. And I think don't focus too much on the success, on the result, because we define success with the results. But the journey it takes you to be that person. So the goal is, ask yourself, are you passionate with what you do? I was lucky I had a father who really gave me support in do what you want to do. He was a biologist, and then he opened an NGO, and then he sailed a boat. And so when I saw my father, he said, any dream is possible. Just do it as long as you have fun. Because when you have fun, you make it happen. And that is for me success. So after cancer, I became an art student. I was an artist. I became an artist. And from that, I didn't want to become an artist. Life took me in the path of art. And now I'm the co-founder and president of Generation C. It's a socially driven artistic movement striving for a new civilization, an empathetic one, by placing a greater emphasis on compassion, on solidarity, on ethic, and especially social responsibility. Our aim is to shift consumers to global citizen, aware, conscious people. And especially right now, we need that shift. And for me, Generation C is not striving for success, is impacting people, is changing the world, is being part of the well-being of the planet. And for me, if I finish, I can impact people. That's what I am here for. We're social animals. We need each other. So in that, I just want to ask you the question now. Like you are in healthcare, so I want to know for you, what is success? How do you see it?
Thank you for your question. And it's really interesting actually listening to all of us talk. And I think we can all agree that there's no one way of defining success. And the definition of success in itself is a very personal one. It leads us to live our lives and find satisfaction in our lives, right? And the definition, as you were saying, of success as we grow older and as we move on in our career will kind of evolve as well. So in terms of my background, my educational background and my past professional experience, it wasn't in healthcare at all. So I have an economics background from Harvard University, and I have an MBA from INSEAD Business School. So in terms of a pathway, it's very, very business-like. I did do a bit of marketing. I did internships. I also went through a lot of interviews. Some passed, some didn't pass. But it led me to come back home and to hold the current position that I have now. So I am now the Chief Operating Officer of the NOIR TTP Women's Hospital. And NOIR TTP is actually a nonprofit medical institution. And the way I define success is really a personal one, and it's not related to the health industry. It's how I impact people, it's how I value my career, it's how I value my job, it's how I value my time. And right now, within this position, I'm able to kind of lead this medical institution to better the lives of women and men in Cambodia. I'm able to kind of lead a team to ensure that people have better access to healthcare, people have effective and safe treatments. And when you have a patient that has been struggling for years with a gynecological problem or just a headache that is constantly there and they find relief and a cure at our hospital, I find this result as super, super rewarding for me and my team. And to me, I call this a success. And I think it's super important to continuously remind yourself that you're succeeding, even though you're on your way to your end goal. Pat yourself on the back and tell yourself you're getting there and you are successful right now. I think it's super, super important. And what I really like in terms of my career right now is that I'm part of this organization that not only betters the healthcare of people, but it also, how do we say, I am able to leave a legacy. So my hard work is I'm starting this hospital. It only started in 2019. So it's only a year and a half old. It's a baby. And I'm able to help jumpstart this project. And I'm able to kind of leave a legacy that in long term could help improve the healthcare of women and their families, right? So for me, I'm very satisfied. I'm very fortunate to be part of this. But of course, we've all gone through these struggles and it hasn't been easy. And I still am challenged on a daily basis, but the beauty of it is in my current career is I keep learning, and I think we should just continue to learn. But in my entire career, there are 3 lessons that I've learned. One is to continuously ask yourself, where are you at in terms of your end goal? What is your end goal? Are you moving forward? And it's okay if you change it, right? I think the second one is to ensure that your pathway to success does not impact your mental health care and your physical health care. Because who really enjoys their success when you're impaired? Nobody. You have to be super healthy and happy with who you are and where you're at. And number 3 is to really have a network of support that challenges you and that keeps pushing you and supporting you, right? So that's kind of like my kind of story and my answer to you, but it doesn't really relate to healthcare. It really relates to something personal.